Hi everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Catherine Lorimer's Guide to Life podcast. Okay, so let's have a look. 8th of November, just turning the calendar over. You can tell I was organised as ever, can't you? Okay, so this week I am doing podcast. So I usually do the crime ones on the first of the month, but obviously because it was Halloween, I did a spooky ghost tour one. So we're going to have, let's see what we've got this month. We've got, so we're going to do the crime one today. And then we're doing, I've got something in mind to do for the 15th as to something that you can try. And 22nd will be in the ghosty one, which I've already got lined up. And then 29th will be my usual news rant, although, you know, I think it might basically be about Andrew. Hopefully there'll be some other news before then. Otherwise it's going to be a very, very short one. Okay, so, but tonight, or today, or this morning even, I am recording this in the morning, it's Sunday morning. No, I am not hungover, just a little bit tired. Actually, the sun's out, it's nice and sunny and blue skies, so that's quite good. So I'm doing, Bonfire Night Killer. Okay, so, Michaela Hague, right, she was 25, and she is was the daughter of Jackie and Mick Hague. Okay, and she had a partner as well, Mick Holmes, and she also had a 5-year-old son, Kane Holmes, and she was, somebody stabbed her on the Bonfire Night, 5th of November in Sheffield in 2001. Now, I just kind of want to, people kind of like see all these things and they, you know, because I'm the same. I was scrolling through social media and I was having a look at the depictions of Jamaica, but because you're just scrolling it through and because we see so much devastation, and also because on like films and the movies and stuff, we see all these kind of like killings and stuff, it really kind of desensitizes us to, you know, but actually these are real. This is a real person that this happened to. And her murderer has never been caught. Well, so he's gone, you know, free after killing somebody, taking somebody's life, okay, which is against the law. That's what the laws are there to protect society. That's why they're there. And her 26-year-old son, who is 26 in 2023 anyway, he basically, this has obviously had a massive impact on his life. And he's now in prison, having committed a crime spree. Probably went a little bit crazy. You know, so whoever did this, you know, you've also ruined somebody else's life by, you know, her son's life as well. And then the people who are her son's victims, you've ruined their lives or, you know, had an impact on their lives. So it's a spiraling effect. It's not just one person, okay, that's affected by this. And also you'll have affected her parents, Jackie and Mick's lives as well. And I just want to kind of bring a little bit of reality to it because it's not just telling a story. And, you know, this is actually real people's lives that have been affected by somebody's anger over something. So she was killed on Bonfire Night, 5th of November, 2001 in Sheffield. And I say her killer has never, ever been caught. And there is kind of like some DNA. So if you do kind of listen to this podcast and think, oh, do you know what? I've always thought it might have been X. Maybe an abusive ex-partner. And I'll go on to why I think that in a minute. You know, and maybe now you're kind of separated from them. You've got some space. You're maybe a little bit scared of them. I wouldn't really be surprised. But anyway, we'll see how we go. Sorry, there's a strange looking bird that's just landed on my roof and it's about to come up and peck the windows. Let me just see if I can shooshel it off. Yeah, that's it. It's gone. Don't want it making a noise. Incidentally, if you did hear me heavy breathing during the intro music, it's because I forgot to turn my microphone down. Sorry. It wasn't a ghostly or anything like that. So Michaela was 25. And she'd only been working as a prostitute for a short time. Now, there's some conflicting information. One of the papers says it was 3 months, but a podcast I listened to said it was 6 months. So it was a short period of time anyway. And apparently she had a heroin addiction. Don't know how long she'd had that, why she'd had it, but that was the situation. And apparently her family had no idea what she was doing to try and get money for a heroin addiction. Now, she was stabbed 19 times in the neck. Okay, 19 times. Right. That's an enormous amount of rage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. That requires an awful lot of rage and an awful lot of force. What I would say is, do we actually want somebody who is capable of doing something like that still on the streets? No, not really. So she was stabbed in the neck and back and left in the car park in Spitalfields. You kind of wonder, was it personal? Was it someone that knew her? And it was about 8 p.m. on the 5th of November. And she was found by her friend and fellow sex worker. Now, she was actually still alive when she was found, and the police were called. And Michaela actually managed to give a description of her attacker before she died to a policeman. And so it was clearly not somebody that she knew. Otherwise, she would have said it was someone that I knew. And she described him as 6 foot tall, okay, and he was white and about 38 years old, okay. So 38 years old. Hang on, just get my calculator out. So but one thing is, like, 38 years old is a really specific age, isn't it? Okay, how would she know he was 38 years old? I was like, I don't know. That's a really specific number. So you're kind of thinking, well, did she know him? So he'd now be 62. But about 38 years old. That seems really specific. Anyway, he was white, clean shaven, with fair hair. And he was wearing a wedding ring, so he was obviously married. And he drove a blue Ford Sierra car with a roof rack. Okay, so Ford Sierra is a family car, and with the roof rack would sort of suggest that, that's a family man, goes away on holidays quite a lot, because you've got the roof rack on for camping trips and stuff. And he had been seen wearing an old-fashioned nightcap-style hat when seen in the area, which is a little bit strange, okay? Bit strange. So maybe he was looking for somebody, I don't know, and trying to be in disguise and not be seen. So at this time, so this makeup car was really, really common. I don't know if you remember it. They're Sierras. They were absolutely everywhere. And despite great lengths, the car was never traced. Now, the killer was clearly, if he had a wedding ring, he was clearly married. And if he had a family car with a roof rack, it's clearly a family man, married family man. So the question is, why was he not celebrating Bonfire Night with his family? Okay. So that's a bit of a kind of like, where were they? And you kind of get to thinking, well, could it be his wife left him and he's taken his anger and frustration out on somebody else? That's a possibility. So it's a fairly shortish one today, that one. There isn't really a massive amount, to say about everything. It's just that her killer hasn't been caught and she is a real person. And as I say, the fact that she was killed has had an impact on her family. And at the end of the day, she was taken from this world by somebody, that has a massive amount of rage. And so clearly this person needs to be caught. So if you do have any information leading to it, then just contact Crime Watch again. And that's 0800 555 111. Now, another interesting one. I thought I'd see if there's any other kind of killings that happened on Bonfire Night. And in fact, there is. Saturday, the 8th of November, 2003, Cornish village. Carol and Graham Fisher. Okay, they rarely strayed apparently far from the bungalow that they lived in, and they had a petrol station. And it was in a really isolated stretch of the road in North Cornwall. So it was as if they kind of wanted to be out of the way of somebody that they might know. And they'd worked at the garage for the past 20 years. Recently had their silver wedding anniversary. Apparently they were kind of a little bit worried that they might be burgled. So they never really kind of went out or did anything. But apparently a gunman or gunmen broke into their property. Shots were fired inside the bungalow. Mr. Fisher, 60, was shot dead at close range in the hallway. And his wife was running for her life and was gunned down in the forecourt of the filling station. So clearly he was the target because they got him first. Unfortunately, it was well planned because the gunshots, on Bonfire Night, masked the sound of fireworks so that so whoever kind of did it had a clearly thought about it, and so that would indicate that it was planned. It doesn't actually say if anything was stolen. I'm going to have a quick scroll through. Let's have a quick look. Yeah, they didn't know what the motive was. Now, two brothers were actually convicted of the murder. Robert and Lee Firkins were jailed in November 2003. However, 20 years later, they were cleared, basically because the person who said it was them turned out to be a compulsive liar. So, as well as being shot, they were also died from head injuries inflicted with a sledgehammer. So that's pretty gruesome, isn't it? You don't just shoot them, shoot them dead. You actually inflict some kind of serious pain. That's kind of sending out a message, or that's personal. But then actually as well, doing a bit of research on it and kind of reading about it, it's quite obvious that one of their friends said that the victim actually said, if he was murdered, it would be by, and then stopped. It was stopped. He didn't say who it was. So it does sound as if it's somebody that's related to them. I don't know, a friend or a relative, and that they were clearly expecting it, which would maybe also indicate why they never really went anywhere. They didn't want to leave the safety of their home for fear of something like this happening. Which is quite sad, isn't it? That people should feel like that they are that scared of somebody that they don't actually want to leave their home. And I don't think you should really ever kind of get to that stage. You need to, anybody who's doing anything like that to anybody, then, you can't really let them win. And you've just got to get out there and continue living your life. So essentially, although that was solved, it was proved that it wasn't, the correct people weren't put away for that. So that is still an unsolved murder as well on Bonfire Night. Okay, so a really short one there. So I do apologise for the shortness of it. The next one I'm going to be doing next month, it's going to be an awful lot longer. So it should be about half an hour. Okay then, and thanks very much for listening. Have a good week, everyone, and I'll catch you next time.